Hey Simon, here's what's in my bag.
All of these clubs were bought secondhand.
I don't need to, Jacob. Thank you for watching the channel. I'm glad you're watching my channel and I hope you see this video. Please do not go and get fitted. Guys, how you doing? Welcome back to a brand new video. It's Simon here with another What's in Your Bag. I'll give you advice on what to put in, what to take out, how little or how much to spend depending on the level or how long you've been playing this game. Can only thank you for all the support and the recent lockdown content, guys. Potentially Sunday we're going to get an update whether we're allowed back out or potentially going to get another 3 weeks. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. But I can only thank you guys. Obviously this whole collection of videos that I've done throughout lockdown, it's been great for me because it's been giving me something to do, something to work on, as well as in the background I've got great ideas when I finally get allowed out of my 3-bedroom flat. So I can only thank you guys. I hope you guys are all doing well. Part of me's really enjoyed it because obviously I've been at home with both the girls, so half of me is like, I'd love to get out, and half of me is like, you know what, I don't need to work ever again. But I can only thank you guys. I hope you guys are all doing well. Let's get straight into the video. Okay, so up first we have Steve and his bag. Now Steve plays with half a set, so he's only got 7 clubs in the bag, and I'd highly advise this technique or practicing for anyone between the handicap of 20 and 8, to be honest. If you've never done it before, that is, I'd mix it up. I'd take out half set, mix up the clubs you take out, because it allows you to be a bit more creative, just like he says. All of a sudden he's having to think about his shots more, and also it takes a bit of pressure off yourself. If you go out with half a set, you'll realise that actually you're like, well, if I hit a bad shot, it's only because I've got 7 clubs in the bag. And all of a sudden you'll realise you'll start hitting better shots because you're focusing on hitting the target, you're focusing on the flight, how high, how low, are you hitting it harder, are you hitting it softer? And the majority of golfers spend all their creative energy, visualisation in hitting bad shots. We're very good at standing over the ball, imagining it going out of bounds. And then you hit out of bounds and you're like, oh, I knew I was going to do that. Rather than stand there, and I can guarantee you if you play on 4 or below, the majority of you will be standing over the ball, or even 10 seconds before you hit the ball, visualising you hitting this 10-yard, 300-yard drive down the middle, cutting the light strip in the fairway down the left-hand side. And that's kind of visualisation that is going to help all of your games, but a lot of us don't talk about it. We all talk about swing playing, talk about spining our shafts and the flex and this and that, but none of us really spend the time to imagine our great shots, our good shots. That's something that is really important in golf that is massively overlooked. So Steve, whether you know that you're doing that or not, apparently, well, you said here that you seem to get great results with it, and now you prefer playing with 7 clubs in the bag. I'd advise that's probably why. Unofficial handicap 15. His main problem is pretty high ball flight with the driver. Now, all I'd say is pretty high ball flight is one of 2 things. Now, looking at your driver, I don't think you're hitting like the roof of the driver. So when you say pretty high, I'm not expecting you coming underneath it. A high ball flight is good as long as there's not much spin on it, because you're going to get good distance. And by looking at averages, you've got good distances. You've also got a Cobra F.9, does some pretty much similar, maybe a bit straighter. Let's have a look at the bag. Love the bag. This is basically great value clubs. The ST190, as I say, ST180, great value driver. That's a year before. Ping G25 hybrid, again, great value hybrid. If you're looking for forgiving hybrid, highly suggest getting that. Mizuno JPX, this is basically the Simon value range 101 Steve's got in the bag here. So I'm a big fan of all the clubs that he's got in the bag. As you can say, this is basically all he's got in the bag. He's got a rescue driver, a 5 and an 8, 5 and an 8, a 50-degree wedge, a 58-degree wedge, and his putter. So you can imagine the amount of shots or creative elements you're going to have to put into a game to play a good round of golf with that. I'm a big fan of the bag, 100%. All I would say is with the driver, it's not the driver. There's 2 things that potentially you're doing wrong with the driver. One, you're hitting down on it too much, therefore you're causing too much spin, which is helping the ball go up. But you're still getting reasonably good distances. The other one, which is probably less likely, is that you're hitting up on the ball too much, which is just going to give you long balls, but then your bad shots are going to be quite sporadic because there's no spin on the golf ball. Realistically, I have to see the swing. I'd go and get a lesson. Don't change the driver. Driver's great. Both of your drivers are great, by the way. Sell one of them and get a few lessons, because you seem to be doing everything right. The fact you're shooting the shots you are with half set is great. And also be wary, is the driver that bad? Like, I know the driver might be going a bit high, but apart from aesthetics, is that causing you shots? Are there other elements in your game that could be worked on, i.e. 100 yards and in, putting from 10 foot, etc, etc. Anyway, Steve, I love the bag. Thank you for sending that. It was a good point and probably helped a lot of people out there as well. Okay, so the next one is from Pat Smith from Buffalo. He wants to show that there are some good deals to be had out there. 100% there are. He plays off 18 handicapper, plays at a private members club, and he struggles. He's good ball striker with the irons, struggles with the driver. He's asking, should he cut an inch off the end of his driver? He's looking to potentially get a new driver anyway. He's got loads of Titleist, but he's not set on Titleist. And what should he do? So let's have a look at his bag. There's a few prices if you want to pause and have a look at what he got those for. Bag looks great, by the way. Let me just quickly pause, take the sound down, and I've listened to his commentary. Commentary's great. So SM7 wedges he got for $60 each, which is really good. So basically, my advice is that if you want a brand new wedge and you don't want to get fitted for it, i.e. you don't play off 8 and below, just wait and buy a brand new wedge the year after the new one comes out. Because the grooves are the more important thing. Yes, wedge fitting is important, but if you can't flag it from 80 yards, 10 balls 7 out of 10 times, then you don't need to be fitted for your wedges anyway. So $60 each for the wedges, very good. He's got a combo set of MBs and AP2s. Now, the only thing I would say is that is quite a big jump, because they are quite strong, the AP2s, or can be quite strong compared to the MBs. But he says he's getting on well with them, and that's the main important thing, to be perfectly honest. So if you find there isn't a gap, not a problem, but sometimes you could have a big gap between those MPs and the AP2s. He moves on to his woods. Now again, he's got Titleist woods. He loves everything. He's got both of these 3-wood and rescue. Got a Facebook Marketplace as a great deal. Facebook Marketplace is great depending on where you live. In the UK, well, you know how small the houses are in the UK because there's so little land obviously to be built on now, that everyone lives in the same area. So it's so easy for us to have 100,000 people within, like, I don't know, a certain radius. Whereas certain parts of America or other parts of the world, I imagine, because there's quite a lot of land, Facebook Marketplace isn't great unless you're going to willing to drive for like 6-7 hours. So Facebook Marketplace is great depending on where you live. I highly advise going to have a look at that. Even if you haven't got Facebook, just go and set up an account and then just go and type in your address and see what people are selling around or around your area. He won this Scotty putter, which is incredible, got fitted for it, which is absolute prize there. And this is his driver, the 917 D3. And the question is, does he swap out? And I would say this. Cutting down the shaft definitely helps. I've got all my drivers, last 2 of them, I've cut an inch off the end, regripped them. I found more control and I found the middle more. But I wouldn't change a driver purely for finding the middle. Would I? There's elements in that. You're going to have to get fitted. I wouldn't just buy a new driver. Don't just buy a new driver thinking you're going to find the middle more. You can get fitted into a driver where you do find the middle more, depending if you have heel shots or toe shots consistently, and the fitter will be able to put a shaft in there that will help with that. That being said, Pat, are you having lessons? Are you thinking about having lessons? Therefore, the shaft, the driver, if you're getting fitted specifically because you heel it or toe it, as soon as you have a lesson, that all goes out the window anyway. So don't just buy a new driver just to find the middle more, because that potentially won't happen. It's a great driver, it's a good head. I would go as far as cut an inch off the end of it. And then, or actually better, buy a new shaft, not that expensive, because I imagine you've just got that even flow in there, which is a good shaft. Buy a shaft with an adapter, $40, $45, and cut an inch off the end of it, or it comes already an inch shorter, and play about with that. If you like it and like the feeling, because I did have an inch end off the driver, then potentially do it to the one that you've got. It won't change the flex that much from the butt anyway. An inch is quite a lot. You could go an inch. As I say, buy another shaft, play about with it first, or if someone's got a shaft that you can potentially just whack in that, then give it a go, rather than just hacksaw it straight away. But I wouldn't try to change head at the moment if you're looking for more centeredness of strike, i.e. hitting out the middle. Overall, love the bag, and thank you very much for sending it in. Okay, so the next one is from Jacob. He's been playing golf for about a month and a half now. And at some point, he wants to get fitted for golf clubs. His usual scores are in the 40s. Weakest part of the game is his drives. He sent me videos of his driver, iron, and his bag. Haven't even looked at the bag yet, actually, which is interesting. But I don't need to. I don't need to, Jacob. Thank you for watching the channel. I'm glad you're watching my channel, and I hope you see this video. Please do not go and get fitted just yet, because you've been so early into this game, and I know you got the bug just like we all had, and you're addicted to the game and you want to get better, etc, etc. However, new clubs aren't going to help you. Yes, they might help you, but nowhere near as much as the practice and work you're going to put in now. If you get fitted now, today, you're going to outgrow those clubs within the next 8 months. So potentially, by getting fitted, you're going to have to spend $1,500 on all the clubs, and those clubs are going to last you 8 months. Whereas someone that gets fitted, and I love custom fitting, and I love custom fitting people, but you better be using my clubs that I fit you for the next 10 years, because they're the clubs that you should be using, depending on where you are in your game. So, all I say, Jacob, is do not go and get fitted just yet. Okay, so Jacob, I hope you don't mind me showing your swing on the channel, but you've got tons of good stuff going on here, son. You've got tons of flexibility, you've got tons of strength. Realistically, you're not particularly, oh, mind you are using your lower body quite a bit. Weight transfer is good. However, purely by practicing, not even having a lesson, just hitting 50 balls a day in the net, you're going to get more coordination. There'll be less club flipping, etc, etc going on there, and club fitting is not going to help you at the moment. So I'm not going to say club fitting again, because I've just said that tons of times now. I think you could easily play off scratch, because you're going to absolutely rip it. Your distances at the moment, you already rip it when you catch hold of it. Just consistency is what we're after. Let's have a quick look at the bag, because I didn't actually look at your bag earlier. I didn't know Adams made, I should know Adams made drivers. They're just known for their hybrids. I think overall, I think everyone would agree here, looking at this bag, first up, you're more than well equipped, mate. You've got a great looking bag. I think you've got a face balance putter, which is great. I love the Steelhead XR irons. They're fantastic for giving iron. M4, you've got more than enough. When you shoot your first round in the 80s, I'm not saying get down to 8, I'm saying when you shoot your first round in the 80s, change a bit of that bag. Apart from that, maybe upgrade the wedges at some point. But apart from that, at the moment, I say you're good to go. Jacob, I hope that helped. Thanks for watching the channel. Cheers. Okay, so the next one is from that side. I don't think you left your name, but anyway, 18 handicap. He will be working at a golf club after this virus blows over, therefore he'll be able to get lessons. He loves the look of the TaylorMade Gapper. He played with it on holiday in a rental set. He loves the feel, the look, the sound, the colour, etc, etc. He was thinking about getting the mid version. And then secondly, his irons are about 10 years old. He doesn't like the look over the ball. Should he change? So on and so forth. So, my advice. Let's have a look at the bag. Because he's got Adams pretty much. Well, he's got Adams putty, irons, and a 3-wood. And nothing wrong with that. And he's now at that 18 handicap. He's going to be getting lessons as well. He's only got a 60-degree wedge. He's getting a 56 in the post, which is good, because he'll need that to gap. And then he's got these Adam irons. This is probably at the point where you would go, okay, let's trade out the irons, because he's going to be working on lessons. He's going to be getting better at ball striking. These irons are probably going to just go too far, not enough control, not enough spin, launch, etc. So I would probably advise you could go down like the Titleist AP2 route, anything forged, because normally once it's forged, the heads are a certain quality that they're going to be smaller, more precise, they're going to be less forgiving, and that's probably what you want, because at the moment you've done well to get down to 18, which is great. You obviously have the club head speed for it. All I would say now is, and then also, sorry, that gapper as well you mentioned. Be careful with the gapper, because I think it's a good club. It's a very niche club. I think it's probably in the realms of being good for you, because you've got fast head club head speed, but not necessarily ball striking, and it's going to make you focus on the smaller target because the head's a lot smaller. That gapper is probably going to go the same distance as your M2 4 hybrid that you have in the back there. So the only reason I say be careful is because if you go on well with your hybrid, then you're potentially just going to have two clubs that are doing the same, because you want the mid. Potentially you could go the low, which is like the driving iron. Again, that's going to give you even more preciseness, and you're going to be able to concentrate even more on it. So just all I'm saying, I'm not saying no because you love it. If anything, because you love it, you feel confident and it does everything you want it to do in terms of sound, feel and etc. Buy it. By all means, buy one. But make sure you get the right one, because I don't want you to have two clubs in the bag that do exactly the same thing, which is a common mistake that a lot of people make. Overall, I think the bag looks great. And to be honest, when you go and work at the golf club, go and speak to the pro. He'll be able to help you out and sort you out with any gaps you might have in the bag. Okay, so the last bag is from John. Now, John has got a very good looking bag, just under $1,000 for the bag, which in the grand scheme of this channel is quite a lot of money. However, he's bought it as such because he's bought all of this second hand. I think this is what you guys got to remember, because he's bought all of this second hand, and the majority of the clubs, apart from maybe your driver, is in really good condition. If he was to sell the bag, he'd probably get $700, $750 for it. I hope this makes sense. If he was to buy the set brand new, obviously $2,500, he would only get $700. Because he's bought a second hand, it's like in buying a second hand car. If you buy a second hand car for a year, 2 years, look after it, MOT, give it back, you're still gonna get a pretty decent amount of money for it. It's when you buy it brand new, drive it out, then you've lost a lot of money. So yes, he spent quite a bit of money, but I love the bag. Let's have a quick look at the bag. He sent in a separate email. Now, interestingly, John is very much my man. American football and competed in powerlifting comps. So obviously for me, long drive next year, I'm fascinated by this element of speed, power. He's obviously a big bloke and he can obviously exert some kind of energy. However, with powerlifting and American football, it's a very linear game, apart from obviously throwing. Unless you're a quarterback and you're obviously throwing, it's a very linear game, and that basically means that you're always going in a straight line. Same as powerlifting, you're obviously pulling from the ground, pushing up, or whatever it might be, bench press, etc. Very little rotation in those sports. So he struggles with his irons, and that's why he changed them to these Strixon irons. Now, I love the Strixon irons, and to be honest, John, you've made a great purchase. You won't need to change those irons for a while. He's got a great little utility King Cobra iron, 3 iron here as well, which I highly recommend. I did show you the prices earlier, which is what you got these for, so go back and have a look at those. RTX wedges at the bottom, again, big fan, driver, good. So, I imagine you struggling with your irons at the moment because one or two things. Number one, how is your flexibility? Hopefully it's good. If it's not, I'd start working on trying to stretch out your like hamstrings and everything else, because you're obviously quite strong. If your hamstrings and everything are tight, you're going to really struggle with early extension, which basically means you lose your posture throughout your swing, which is why you potentially struggle with striking those irons. The other one is, you probably, like I saw your driver's swing speed earlier, is 103 to 105 miles an hour, which for the normal golfer is pretty good, around average. However, for how much strength you have in your body, you should be close to the 150, 120 if your swing was efficient, if that makes sense. So imagine you're using a lot of upper body to hit the golf ball because you have it. You have the strength there, therefore you hit it with what's easily accessible. I'd work on rotation. I'd work on flexibility and rotation, and I think you'll iron out a lot of the mistakes in your bag, if not gain a tiny bit more speed. I don't think you need speed, but if you want to get down to single figures and below, I imagine flexibility, rotational stuff is probably going to help your game. Overall, I think the bag looks great, and it'd be interesting to see, and I love that 3 iron as well. I'd love to know how much gapping you have between those two. I don't think you quite said in the email. I imagine they might go similar distance. And the TaylorMade Tour Spider putter, they're still going for 100 quid, like in England, like 90 pounds. Like, if they're in good condition, it's a great putter. Anyway, John, thank you for sending your bag in. I love the enthusiasm on the secondhand stuff, and keep going, pal. So guys, there you have it. Thank you for obviously watching this video and the support that you've been giving on the channel. Leave your comments down below and I'll try and answer as many of them as I possibly can. Catch you guys later.